But, Anthony, are you very excited to talk to Bob Gale?
Of course. I want Travis in here, too, on mic, because Travis is a giant fan.
Have fun, guys.
Hey.
Have fun.
You've got to get back.
I don't need to be here for this.
Bob Gale. What?
Who is Bob Gale, by the way?
Who is Bob Gale? Co-wrote Back to the Future, a little film you might have heard of with Robert Zemeckis, and wrote Back to the Future 2 and 3. He also co-produced on all 3 films. I want to actually know exactly what his input was.
He also wrote, please, more importantly, Used Cars.
Did he really?
One of the funniest films ever. Yeah.
Yes, Jimmy is constantly talking about used cars. It's very funny. And I Want to Hold Your Hand. Wasn't that that Beatles movie with Spielberg made? I'm not sure. We'll have to ask him. He's on the phone. Why don't we talk to him?
Hey, Bob, welcome to the Opie and Anthony Show.
Hey, thanks, guys.
You got 3 or 4 guys here that are obsessed with the Back to the Future series.
Great. Thanks.
Hi,
No
Bob.
joke.
My house.
There's an obsession that is a little creepy.
Bob, I got to ask you first, what the hell is it about Back to the Future that this many years later, people still are buying it on DVD, find it fascinating, entertaining?
I think that the core idea of it is just something that strikes everybody. I mean, what's amazing to me is how all these kids today, little kids, I mean, my daughter wasn't born when the movie was made. She and all of her friends in college, they've seen.
Neither was my girlfriend.
It's just a universal thing that everybody comes to the realization, oh my God, at one time my parents were children. They were kids the same age as me.
Right.
And that's just a fascinating idea. And, you know, nobody really explored that idea to the degree that we did before our movie.
Did you come up with the actual idea of this guy going back in time?
Yeah.
And it kind of screwing up?
Well, the way it started, Zemeckis and I had always talked about trying to figure out how to do a time travel movie because we both had our minds warped watching the Twilight Zone and the George Powell Time Machine movie, but we never were able to figure out the hook. And then I was actually back visiting my parents in St. Louis on a promotional trip for used cars, and digging through my basement, I found my father's high school yearbook, and I was thumbing through it, and there was my father, and he was the president of his graduating class. And I started thinking about the president of my graduating class, who was, you know, one of these kind of rah-rah asshole guys. And I'm thinking, my God, if I had gone to high school with my dad, would I have been friends with him, or would I have had nothing to do with him? So that was the germ of the idea, to make a time travel story that was a little different than anything else. What if you could go to high school with your parents? So when I got back to California, I started talking to Zemeckis about this, and he got excited about it. He said, yeah, what if it turned out that your mom was the slut? And then the snowball got rolling, and we pitched it over at Columbia because they really liked used cars, even though the movie hadn't done much at the box office. They said, you want to do your next movie? And we set it up there, and in true Hollywood fashion, after we wrote 2 drafts of the script, they said, well, no, we don't want to make it, and it took us almost 4 years after that to finally get the movie into production.
4 years.
Bob, is it true that Disney wouldn't take the movie because it was the subject matter was a little too risque for even Disney?
Yeah, actually, that's absolutely true. We shopped the movie around, and at the time, the early '80s, raunch comedy was the big thing. They wanted, stripes, stuff that was more gross. And they kept saying, well, it's a really nice script. It's really sweet. It's got this family thing going on. You guys ought to take this to Disney. And we kept hearing this over and over again. And finally, we'd been rejected by every studio. And we said, well, what the hell? Let's go take it to Disney, see what they say. So we have a meeting over there, and this was way before Disney got itself revamped. And so this was the old Disney management that was making such great movies as Tron and The Black Hole. So we go in there, and the guy said, are you guys nuts? We can't make this movie here. this scene with the kid and his mother in the car.
And there's an attempted rape.
What are you thinking?
Yeah, that we always do talk a lot about the content of it, and the fact that it is a comedy. It's considered by a lot of people on the outside as a very innocent movie, but some of the scenes in there and some of the language you could not put in a movie today that is marketed to the same people it was marketed to back when this came out.
Well, PG-13 didn't exist back then, so we have a PG rating, and yeah, we have shits and goddams and that sort of stuff, which we just it was in there because that's the way kids talk. Kids talk that way then, and they still talk that way, if worse, probably.
But I mean, like, I could remember being a kid, and like they would show Back to the Future for, like we'd have like movie day or whatever it was, like in the auditorium, and I remember being uncomfortable as a kid, like watching, Biff try to, get it on with Lorraine in the car, and I'm like, I don't think this is. I'm in third grade. I'm not supposed to be watching this. Like, this is a little inappropriate for me.
This is dirty.
And obviously, it totally destroyed your all your thought processes, didn't it?
It is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's just so strange how you would never even I don't think that kind of like if that movie was re-released in the theater now, I mean, it would probably get an R rating.
Yeah.
Well, no, I don't think it'd get an R rating, but it would certainly get a PG-13.
They'd have one of those disclaimers for mild language and strong sexual content.
And almost a rape. And by the way, I always wondered why George would have Biff come over and be his car wax guy when he tried to rape his wife.
Well, it just shows what a decent, forgiving guy George was.
There you go. I was wondering about that.
Something came for you, Mr. McFly. I think it's your new book. Remember when I tried to rape your girlfriend?
Yeah.
And not to mention the incest.
Yeah, the whole incestuous angle. They are kissing. They are mother and son, even though they're the same age at the time. Any flack from that as far as when you went before the ratings board?
No, none at all. I mean,
no, they were fine with it, huh?
Disney was the only one that really got upset with it, but we dealt with it with a comedic touch, so that you just knew this was not serious, and it was just never going to really. Nothing was going to actually really happen in there. And that was actually when we were writing the script. It was one of the things that we kept saying, "Well, how are we going to get out of this? How are we going to get out of this?" And we came up with the idea, well, okay, it's like kissing my brother. Lorraine has that line.
Right.
And we said, well, okay, we can do that because this situation has never actually ever happened before.
Yeah,
Who knows what it'd be like?
It might seem like that.
I know you probably get asked this a lot, but I mean, I'm sure all the hardcore fans know out there that Back to the Future originally was cast with Eric Stoltz as Marty McFly.
That's correct.
And everybody wants to know when this footage, because it's nowhere. It's one of the only things that you just cannot find. I mean,
look, we did not destroy the footage. The footage exists, and we thought back in 2002 when the movie first came out on DVD. Zemeckis and I had a long conversation about whether or not we should put any of this stuff on there, and we decided not to because. At this time, because Eric's still a working actor, he didn't do anything wrong. It was our mistake. We miscast it. But
what was the mistake? Like, what did you see in him that made you say, like, "Ooh, boy, this ain't the right guy"?
Was it the Rocky Dennis makeup and mask, and he was just running around like it was called, retard going Back to the Future, and he's still stupid?
Jesus Christ, Jimmy.
Yeah, that would have been what we would do in Back to the Future too, when Biff messed everything up.
Yeah, that's a different timeline.
Eric was a good actor, and the head of the studio, was just so extremely bullish on him because he loved the movie Mask. That, I mean, he really was kind of an overbearing guy, and it was. He said to us in a moment of bravura, he just said, "I'm so convinced that Eric Stoltz will be great in this movie that if he's not, you guys recast it and start all over." Now, he never expect we would take him up on that because he thought Eric Stoltz would just be great, and he wasn't. So when after 5 weeks, Bob had put enough footage together where he realized that it wasn't working the way it was supposed to work. And he had Neil Canton, my co-producer, and I look at the footage, because I never would look at cut footage until there was an entire cut of the movie, so I knew there was a problem. Bob was asking me to come in the cutting room.
Oh, boy, yeah.
Or in the screening room. And then we all said, oh, shit. And, we had Spielberg and Kathy Kennedy, Frank Marshall, our executive producers, look at it, and they said, oh, shit. And we decided, and Stephen, in his infinite wisdom, said, look, you can't go tell Sheinberg that you've made a mistake here without having a way to solve the mistake.
But I mean, was he acting clowny, or was he not acting clowny enough?
Eric he's sort of the method school of acting.
So he went into the future to prepare for his role.
Well, he had to wear the wardrobe home. He just didn't have the sense of comedy that the character needed.
Right.
Now, I mean, I know it's been asked 1,000 times, but I mean, will that footage ever come out and be available to the public? Maybe on a future Blu-ray release?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if we'll. I don't know. It'll be later rather than sooner, because I say we don't want the footage to embarrass Eric.
That good, huh?
Well, it's just, people are going to talk. Regardless of what anybody says. Some people say, well, it wasn't that bad. And some people, oh my God, how stupid were those idiots for putting that guy in the movie. But I say, anything that's going to make somebody else look bad
is hysterical.
When we're all, in our 60s or 70s, then maybe we'll say, okay, yeah, now it's so far.
Oh, just put it on YouTube already. Just throw it up there.
You guys kind of got stuck in a little bit of a problem with the end of Back to the Future 1. Everybody knows the whole thing with Marty. It's your
Almost
kids.
Everybody.
And you had to resolve that. Had you wished you known beforehand that you would have had a sequel and didn't end it that way?
Well, the thing is, if we knew we were going to do a sequel, we would have never had Jennifer get in the car.
Right.
Because that was the big problem.
Right.
What are we going to do with Jennifer? I mean,
It should have just stopped where he went like, hey, let's drop this bitch off, Marty. And then they just land back, drop her off at the house, and take off again.
Or maybe after they take...
what we did, we had her be unconscious for the whole sequel.
Yeah, she was completely unconscious for the whole movie.
Did you think it was really weird, though, like having Jack Warden play two roles?
Hey, you're talking about used cars now, Jimmy. We're talking about Back to
the movie, actually.
What's that?
Used cars. The reason that we got Jack Warden, when we wrote the script, we didn't think of those brothers as being played by the same actor. And actually, at one point, Kevin Conway was gonna play Roy Fuchs, and then he decided not to. So we went after Jack Warden, and Warden passed on it. And then I forget who it was that said, there's three things that an actor likes to do. They like to act drunk, they like to play dead, and they like to play more than one role in the same movie. And in used cars, if you make the two brothers be played by the same guy, he'll get to play dead and play two parts.
And it's interesting that you use that same tactic in the Back to the Future series when Michael J. Fox is playing obviously his most of his immediate family.
Yes.
Well, look, that was just a slam dunk, obvious thing to do. You got to do that.
I did have a little bit of an issue with 3, though, it being that his forefathers and mother looked the same. Now, that would be a coincidence because their children would have had to have been married off to another family. So why would his wife look just like...
Now, okay, there's an answer to that one.
All right.
Because we thought about that. I mean, the practical answer was Leah Thompson, one of the greatest people in the world to work with, and Bob and I said, we can't make another Back to the Future movie without putting Leah in it.
Mm-hmm.
So that was number one. We just liked working with her. She's just a pleasure to work with. And then we said, okay, well, it's always said that men are attracted to women that remind them of their mothers.
Wow. Throughout the generations.
Yes.
There you go.
All right, well, whatever works.
So you're basically saying that she was available and Frank McRae couldn't do it because he was doing a project after Used Cars. Now, Frank McRae,
the interview.
one of the funniest guys ever. Big black guy in 48 Hours. He was the Eddie Murphy's boss, the cop.
Yeah.
And whatever happened to Frank McRae? Do you know?
Boy, I've lost touch with Frank. I don't know what happened to Frank. I used to talk to him, fairly regularly, but I don't know, about 10 or 15 years ago, I kind of, I have no idea.
He's showing a little old guy the car. He's like, it's all big and comfy and roomy, and you got to look in. The guy's like, I don't want to look inside. He's like, oh, just look inside. The guy's like, I don't want to look inside. So he grabs the little old man and just shoves him in the car. Oh, get in the motherfucking car. It's fucking hilarious. But just get in the motherfucking car. Because he's a mechanic. He's not a car salesman. Oh, just get in the motherfucking car.
That was funny.
The greatest thing that Frank ad-libbed in Back to the Future, because that thing was scripted, because it was a payoff. The setup to the gag was Kurt Russell saying, no matter what you do, make sure you get the customer in the car.
Yeah.
Nothing sells the car better than the car itself. Get the customer in the car. So Frank was going to get this guy in the car. But
speaking of cars, how did you decide on the DeLorean for Back to the Future as the time vehicle?
Very good, Danny.
that was just, oh man, Zemeckis came up with that. He said, what if we use a DeLorean? The original, if you guys are total Back to the Future, you know,
it was a refrigerator. Hello,
it was a time chamber that was like an old refrigerator.
That's just silly.
And then, yeah, it was. It had to be carted around on the back of a truck.
Yeah, and didn't the original script call for the refrigerator time device to be kind of dragged by a nuclear test facility, and that's what the reaction was to initiate time travel? That's crazy.
Well, Spielberg ripped it off in Indiana Jones 4.
Oh, right, yeah.
That whole thing at the beginning where Harrison Ford is running around in the fake town. I mean, that was all in the script of Back to the Future.
And he goes in the refrigerator and lives through a nuclear explosion by being in a refrigerator.
Yeah, Spielberg ripped this off.
Oh,
motherfucker!
Damn him.
So basically, like, because the weird things that translate, like we're all Laverne and Shirley fans, and when you decided to put Lenny and Squiggy in Used Cars as the cameramen. How great! My favorite line is probably when they're filming the hijacked commercial, and that woman, by the way, whose shirt gets ripped off and her tits pop out. Is that Betty Thomas from Hill Street Blues?
No. The girl in the commercial was Cheryl Rickson. She was the Penthouse 10 of the year.
Oh, okay.
But Betty Thomas is one of the girls. There's the strip promotion where 6 girls are taking off their clothes on top of the cars. And one of them is Betty Thomas.
Oh, that's okay. I'm mixing up the scenes. But one of my favorite things is when that girl is getting her shirt ripped off, like the hood pops up, and her shirt gets ripped off, and they're on live TV. And he goes, and like, I think it's Squeaky goes, oh, Jesus, she's caught on the hood ornament. And he goes, oh, don't you hate women?
No. He says, all those years of film school paid off.
And when does he say, oh, don't you hate women?
He doesn't say that.
What are you talking about, Jimmy?
Please don't tell me he doesn't say that.
You're ruining everything.
Oh, Jimmy.
I want to talk about a young actor called Crispin Glover.
I think you're wrong, though, Bob.
What happened now?
They're putting that Letterman stuff back on after Joaquin Phoenix's.
Yeah, I know his weird appearance on that show.
Oh, man.
But he didn't want to do the second one, I guess, huh?
No. Crispin. There's some actors that think that popcorn movies are just. They're just awful things, and they're true artistes,
Mm-hmm.
And Crispin was in that mode, and I don't even remember him whether he even saw the movie.
Really?
Finally finished. He certainly didn't show up at the cast and crew screening.
And he actually he sued, didn't he? The production company or the movie company?
Yeah, he sued. We offered him before we even wrote the sequel. Bob and I said, okay, look, before we can even agree to a sequel, we need to know that we got Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd to come back.
Mm-hmm.
So we called those guys up and we said, if we do a sequel, will you guys be in? I said, absolutely. You guys are doing it? We're in. So we made the deals with those guys first. Then Bob and I said, okay, well, let's see how many other members of the cast will want to come back for another one. So Leah Thompson said, I'm in, and Tom Wilson played Biff, said, I'm in, and Crispin said, well, and his agent called and said, well, Crispin wants Michael J. Fox's deal, which was $2 million, and he wants script approval. And I said to the agent, "Look," I said, "come on, I'm not even gonna dignify that with a response. That's crazy. He's, Michael J. Fox on the #1 television show in America. Of course, he's going to get $2 million for this."
How much were they offering Crispin Glover? How much less?
Oh, the final offer that we made to Crispin. First of all, Crispin wouldn't even budge off of that. So we said, okay, well, shit. I said to the agent, I want you to tell your client 2 words. Richard Castellano. You know who Richard Castellano is?
No.
Oh, come on, guys.
Exactly.
Like Clemenza in The Godfather.
Exactly.
Okay?
Right.
So he was a stickler about wanting too much money for Godfather Part 2. So Francis killed him, right?
Yep.
Clemenza's dead. He's a black armband in The Godfather 2. So I said to the agent, look, we can always have Crispin be dead in the future. There's no, George McFly could be dead. Tell your client that if you don't want to, if you guys don't want to, and the agent knew that this was insane, what Crispin was asking for, but 2 weeks later, the agent called me back, and she said, no, sorry, he won't budge. I said, okay. And so Bob and I said, okay, we've got Leah, we got Biff, we got Lorraine, we don't have George, so let's make George into a tombstone. So the whole idea of the alternate 1985 where Lorraine had married Biff came about because Crispin didn't want to be in the movie.
Wow, damn. Yeah, well,
about 2 months
it worked.
About 2 months before the movie was going to start shooting, Crispin's agent called and said, well, Crispin thinks maybe he made a mistake.
Oops.
I said, okay, well, we're happy to put him in the movie, but it's not going to be a very big role. And the whole idea, by the way, of having, in the future, you see George McFly floating around upside down, and
yeah,
because he threw out his back. Well, we thought to ourselves, okay, if we have, we didn't want to really have George dead in the more positive future because that would be kind of sad. So let's put the guy upside down. So if we have to recast him, it'll be hard to recognize whether it's really him or not.
His hair's in front of his face.
Down. And if Crispin really does it, then we can hang him upside down.
It's like the dentist from Ed Wood. He's like,
yeah, just put your cape
from
over
the
your
eyebrows
face.
up, he looks just like him.
I think, by the way, that you're wrong about that line, Bob. I hate to correct the guy that wrote it, but I do think that he says, "Oh Jesus, she's caught on the hood ornament. Oh, don't you hate women?"
Oh yeah, okay, you're right. It was,
Oh, there you go.
There you go. I haven't seen it in a while.
Okay.
I stand corrected.
Why would you know?
Don't argue with the geeks. I know.
Has there ever been? Have you ever been approached to remake Back to the Future because so much?
Are you asking me or him?
No, not you, Jimmy. Because so much stuff is being remade now from the '80s. Has anybody ever brought that up to you, Hollywood?
No.
No?
And you know what? Because I think that we've said so many times. Look, Indiana Jones Part 4 is a perfect reason why we don't go back to that.
Not even like a Back to the Future 4, just like remaking it with different cast.
Well, all that we can do if we did that is fail.
I agree. I was just wondering if it's ever been presented.
So, nobody said, well, we're going to remake this with you guys or without. Well, then we'd say, you're crazy, but go ahead. All anybody's going to say is, boy, they fucked it up. The Mexicans were really geniuses, and they fucked it up by remaking this.
If you were to do a remake of Back to the Future, would you give Marty more than 10 minutes to save Doc's life at the end when he's getting shot up by Libyan terrorists? I always thought that was it was a strange judgment call on Marty's part, thinking that 10 minutes would be perfect to go and save unarmed Marty McFly, by the way, was going to take care of 3 Libyan terrorists. One has a fucking RPG rocket launcher. But Marty decides 10 minutes is perfect.
Yeah.
I'm going to take care of this in 10 minutes. Why not more time for Marty?
Well, you guys remember what it was like when you were in high school? I mean, he's a 17-year-old kid.
He's stupid.
I can take out some terrorists.
He's just stupid.
I have a Back to the Future question, legitimate one.
Okay, right. Jimmy's got one.
Yes, would you, when putting Michael J. Fox in the back of a convertible, teach him to hide better?
That is funny. He's just yapping on that walkie-talkie. But Biff is such an idiot that, he might not notice that. He's very self-centered. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you change the name of it so the porno couldn't be called Black to the Future, which it was?
Well, there was a porno made called Backsides to the Future. Yeah.
What do you think about all these T-shirt companies that are trying to cash in on like the '80s nostalgia, and they're putting out Back to the Future T-shirts, and I'm sure
Danny wears them all the time.
I am guilty. I'm guilty. Travis is guilty. We're all guilty.
Well,
But
if it's licensed material, I'm all for it.
yeah, but what if maybe it's not though?
Well, you know what? That's up to the legal department of Universal to go after that.
Hey, speaking of
Now
Universal,
we'll do that.
were you attached to any of those sets that caught fire on the Back to the Future set? I know that was big news, and it was a terrible, terrible loss for all of us here.
Well, look, I was asked that at the time. Aren't you upset about this? And I said, well, come on, it's a set. Sets are not built to be permanent. They're built to be taken down, and they've rebuilt it. It's all pretty much the way it was. What I was more worried about was the film vaults where they had all these masters and stuff. That's the stuff that would be hard to replace.
Well,
Studios are all burning down all the time.
Well, I know for a long time they stored the film vaults. Were made of straw. Have they stopped doing that?
Yeah, I think that they moved it into the second little pig's house.
Are there any plans to put the animated series on DVD?
Boy, if there are, I don't know about it. People keep writing into Universal, asking them to do it. I frequently will call them up and say, hey, people are clamoring for this, but no, you just have to get the bootlegs.
I got a question. What are you having for breakfast?
Cup of coffee and a bowl of blackberries.
Ah, very good.
I just want to know. I know that the disc that just came out has the a video from the ride. When that first came out, what did you think of it? Because I was amazed at the Back to the Future ride.
It was. Look, for me, I never got to experience Back to the Future, the movie, the way everybody else did, just walking into it saying, holy shit.
Yeah.
So I got to go do the ride, and I said, holy shit, this is, wow. I was, sometimes during our lunch breaks, when we had an office at Universal, my secretary and I would say, hey, let's go ride the ride.
Oh, you and the secretary. Yeah, let's go ride the ride. And then we'll go to the Back to the Future ride. And people are wondering, I'm reading a couple of things up here. Future Biff, when he goes in there, he looks a little out of sorts when he gets out and breaks his cane. Is that because he is indeed disappearing because he has changed his own future?
Yes, if whoever wrote that in, if you get your hands on the DVD, and goddamn it, go out and buy it today.
I got it, my friend.
In the deleted scenes, I'm pretty sure we have the extension on that. We actually had him erased from existence, and we previewed the movie with that in it, and the audience just didn't understand it. Half of the
Dumb audience.
understood it, and half of them didn't. And we said, well, all right, let's just
give him a stomach ache as he's getting out of a car. That'll clear it up for everyone.
A stomach ache.
So, Bob, Back to the Future 4, go.
Back to the Future 4, yeah. Get out of here.
What would it be? And let me ask you the question and see if you can come up with the accurate answer. In what time period is there the most DeLoreans in one spot?
In the movie?
Yeah, in the whole series. During which time is there the most DeLoreans in one actual area?
Are you talking about movie reality or when we were actually shooting the movie?
Oh, I'm talking about movie reality. Screw the shooting of the movie and how many of those cars you went through. Who cares? I'm talking about what it was, how many DeLoreans occupied.
Thinking about it, I don't think that there were ever more than two in the same.
Wrong! Mr. Writer guy, wrong!
One at the mall, given the reality of Back to the Future 3, you had the two DeLoreans at the mall, and you had the one stashed in the cave.
Two in the mall, one in the cave.
It's like one in the stink, two in the pink.
No, it's not like that at all.
It's a shocker.
Danny, please explain.
I don't have my notes fully. Give me one moment.
It's easy.
Okay, go.
There's one from the Old West that is just sitting,
waiting in the cave.
Waiting in the cave.
Right.
There's that one. So that's there the whole time up until 1985.
Okay, then there's
Right?
Then there's okay. Then there's wait. Then
wrong about
What?
that. That's
What?
still 1955.
Until 1955, right.
Yep.
Okay, so in 1955, there's one in the cave.
one in the cave,
There's the one that Marty originally takes back in 1.
right?
Then there's
The one from 2.
the one from 2.
Well, there's 2 Martys in 1955.
Right.
So okay, so that's 3.
3. And now the fourth one is in 1955. Isn't that when old Biff goes back?
Oh yeah, to give young
To
Biff
give
the
young Biff
almanac.
the almanac.
So that's
4. You still awake?
I'm here, but you guys aren't figuring on the ripple effect here.
Oh,
the
jeez.
alternate timeline.
Yeah. The veered off timeline.
Because every time you change it, it makes a different timeline.
Absolutely.
Isn't that? Do you find that kind of funny that you are that your story is kind of quoted in science as well? That's the Back to the Future style of time travel.
I love it.
And then there's
I just love it. Yeah.
you invented your own physics.
Yeah,
in a way.
the branching, as opposed to on Lost. If you watch that these days, you see there is more of a linear time travel where you can only go backwards and forwards and really not change anything. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it before us, it was the Ray Bradbury version.
Mm-hmm.
Because Bradbury did, he changed stuff in that story called The Sound of Thunder, where the hunting expeditions would go back to prehistoric times to kill dinosaurs.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Remember that one?
Yes, and then
the guy stepped on a butterfly.
someone steps on one thing and screws everything up.
Yeah, which is why the butterfly effect, why they call the butterfly effect in that Ashton Kutcher movie.
And, boy, Doc Brown, for somebody that didn't want to interfere with anything in the future, he was one of the biggest...
the worst offenders.
The worst offenders ever. It's like Kirk with the Prime Directive. He'd always quote it, but then he'd just, have sex with women on other planets. But he was the biggest offender.
Well, yes, but we established that at the end of the first Back to the Future, where he pulls out the letter taped up and he says, I figured.
What the hell?
Yeah, but figuring what the hell is a little different than building a time machine into a steam engine train and then showing up in the middle of the fucking day. With, and then the train, not only is that weird enough that a train just appears out of nowhere and this old man from the 1800s pops out, but then the thing lifts up off the tracks and flies away in the middle of the day. I mean, that might raise a few eyebrows, don't you think?
Well, that's why we put it at the very end. You don't think about that until you're sitting over your pizza afterwards.
Yeah.
What the fuck were those guys thinking?
And I love the police response time there when a train hits a car, and they could walk over the docks, they come back. He walks home, gets his chick, comes back, exchange gifts. Yeah, exchange gifts. Talk to Biff.
We're not talking the NYPD. This is
Hill Valley.
Crazy. By the way, I also wanted to bring that up, that Mayor Goldie Wilson turned out to be an awful mayor. Because Hill Valley was a wonderful place, and then Goldie Wilson took over, and there the theater's a porno theater. There's bums sleeping around.
Crazy drunk drivers.
Goldie Wilson stunk as a mayor.
Yeah, he sure did. He sure did.
Just wanted to add that in. Well, you know something? I can't say enough about the film.
Yes, you can.
Shut up, Jimmy. Everybody here loves it except for two people
You said enough about it about a half hour.
who think we talk about it much too much and obsess on it too much. But
Bob, you could say anytime, get a life, because a lot of people are thinking it.
We did our own screening.
I would love to hear this guy tell you guys to get a life.
I do have a question, though, that I want to ask you seriously. What is the best piece of memorabilia that you own from the movies?
Very good.
Oh man, wow. I've got the best piece is probably the time displays from the DeLorean that got destroyed.
Oh, you got that.
I've got those in a showcase over my fireplace mantle. I've got a hoverboard, but there's there were a bunch of those.
Yeah, I hear that.
And then the other thing that our special effects supervisor took one of the Mr. Fusions and made it into a lamp.
You have a Mr. Fusion lamp?
Yeah, that lamp used to sit on my desk, and so that's pretty cool. But the time displays, I think, are the number one.
Well, Bob, let me tell you something. I just had a 14-seat theater put in my house, and Back to the Future is just played constantly, and I have a case that has gone in, and I really could use some Back to the Future memorabilia. What could you send me for free?
Nothing.
All right. I'll leave an empty spot in the case and say it was from you. Buy it on eBay, some fake thing.
Yeah, Anthony and Danny really are very, very vocal. They actually did a radio show, where they did nothing but talk about Back to the Future
we watched
for 3 hours. Yes.
And
I'll tell you guys what. How about?
Did you hear about it?
Autograph a poster to each of you guys.
An autograph poster? Dude, if you could do that,
I can do that.
that would be key. Please, if you don't get, if you don't send him the information and put him on hold, someone will die.
No.
If you do it, I swear I'm going to kick your ass.
I'll put him on
Bob,
hold for you
please
guys.
don't hang up.
I'll put him on
Don't
hold.
hang up.
Guys.
So wait.
Oh my God! Don't you do
Wait
it?
a minute. Autograph by who?
Don't you dare! I don't care who it's autographed. Bob is going to
I will
autograph
put
it.
Bob on hold for you guys. All right.
Don't-
All
you
right.
son
There
of
you
a
go. There's Bob on hold for you guys.
I knew it.
Back to the Future has been re-released separately for the first time ever. You've never been able to
I knew
own
it.
the discs separately.
Mark, you might
God
wanna
damn!
check-
I knew the second I said that he was going to hang up on him.
Well, you know what? Mars should check the phones because I really was trying to do the right
I
thing there.
knew
That's-
it.
That's a little weird that happened right there.
You suck. You know how important. I want a movie theater. I'm going to put posters up. A sign Back to the Future.
He'll call back, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, he's not busy. He's promoting this new DVD that's out. Holy shit!
He said you guys too, so I'm sure I was.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Holy shit!
All right, I got a little nervous.
Nervous?
Big star like that on our phone. I didn't know what to do. I got nervous. All right.
I am livid. I am livid.
Should we take a break now? Maybe.
I think we should.
You guys got his number. Just call him back.
Yeah. Well, we got his number.
You don't?
No, he called here. That's how it works with guests. They don't hand out our numbers. You know, no one ever thinks it's going to happen to them. No one is prepared when an unexpected computer disaster happens. It's, let me put it in terms you can understand. Let's say somebody is on the phone that wants to send you something really cool, right? And then somebody hangs up on him. That's an irreplaceable loss of something. If only the phone had something like Carbonite.
Get over it, fanboy.
Oh, God. Carbonite, the #1 online backup system in America, it backs your computer up. So if you have pictures, files, maybe a picture of a movie poster, Carbonite will back it up off-site, so it's not even at your house.
Speaking of memorabilia, look what I got.
Oh, what is that?
It's a Wolf Mother concert ticket signed by the boys.
Well, zippity fucking doodah! Carbonite is there to protect your hard drive if it crashes. It happens more times than you think, people.
Yeah.
43% of PC users lose irreplaceable files. They did last year. Yeah, they did. And Carbonite, they recovered over 3 million files that otherwise would have been lost forever and ever and ever. And Carbonite only costs you $50 a year. You didn't hear that wrong. It's $50 a year for the safety, the peace of mind in knowing that all those photos, your files, everything else is safely backed up with Carbonite. So go to Carbonite.com. You enter the offer code. It's XM. And sign up for your free trial. It'll get you 2 months free if you decide to buy. That's Carbonite.com. Offer code XM. Protect your priceless files on your computer today with Carbonite.com.